Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We are on episode 4 of Demon Slayer season 2 tonight. So the last episode ended with Zenitsu being taken by Daki, who is the demon, and I watched that a few days ago and decided that I couldn't wait. So as I'm recording this, episode 2 has just come out on Patreon, episode 1 has just come out on YouTube, so I am recording a little bit ahead with this, but I couldn't wait. No, the series has been so good so far. The second season, at first I was like, where are we going with this humor? But it's all catching up and it's all tying in, and it's becoming part with the content itself. It's relating to the decisions that Inosuke and Zenitsu are making, how Tanjiro is trying to investigate and make decisions. We have still Tengen's backstory that the OP kind of hints at that we don't know about, and then we only know the whereabouts of the one wife of Tengen. We don't know about the other two. We only know where Makio is. We don't know about the other two yet, but it's really, really getting good. And the way that they tease us with with Zenitsu getting plucked up by the demon at the end, I'm like, because you just knew she was going to try something, right? But this season is really, really good so far, and we're only like a third of the way in, and so I'm pretty excited with that. Like, this episode will just mark the 1/3 way through. I'm excited, so we'll just see how it goes, right? But I'm not going to waste any more time. We are going to jump right into this and see what all ends up happening. So I hope you guys enjoy this reaction and discussion, but let's not waste any more time. I had the day off, and I'm going to watch Demon Slayer. So here we are. So we're going to start Demon Slayer Season 2, Episode 4, here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. These episodes go by too quickly. They're too fast. Tanjiro cannot do this alone. There's no way. Tanjiro needs some backup. And I don't know if it's going to be the wives that show up. Maybe one of the wives pops in. That would be really good. Like, we know that Makio has been kidnapped and she's stuck in the ribbon with Zenitsu. But maybe one of the other 3 wives, she has been in hiding and she pops in to help Tanjiro. That would be great if one of the wives, as long as she doesn't die, but if she pops in to help Tanjiro, that'd be awesome, because I'm like, Tanjiro, dude, I know you're like do or die, but you're gonna die against this upper moon unless you get some help. So I don't know next episode if it's gonna be if Tengen's gonna jump in at the last minute, or if Inosuke is gonna show up. I don't want it to be Inosuke because I feel like Tanjiro and Inosuke, they're too inexperienced. They need to have either one of the wives or Tengen there to back Tanjiro up. But this episode, it does a really good job of making you suspicious of the Oiran that was at the Toniko house, the one that Tanjiro was at, because she was kind of suspicious there for a while. I know she's not the demon, because the demon has the ribbon that matches the one that she uses in demon form, so you know it's not her. But there's just something about her. This entire arc has it has a creepiness to it that you don't quite know what to suspect and what not to suspect. And it's a lot of silence. Throughout this episode, it chooses moments to be quiet and silent, and it has this tension in the air that you're like, something's about to happen, and it's like, when is it gonna go down? And it's so creepy, right? It's just very creepy. And so I really was suspecting her of something. I thought several different things were going to happen with her character, honestly, and they may still happen, but we haven't gotten there yet. I'm wondering, since Tanjiro severed the part of the ribbon with her in it, if during daybreak, will she pop up out of the ribbon once day breaks and the demon has to go into hiding since it's been severed from her? Or is she going to be stuck as this piece of fabric until... Is she going to be stuck as a piece of fabric until the demon's killed? There was blood that came out of the fabric, so did Tanjiro just kill her and not realize it? She did say separated, so I'm like, I don't know. These 2 little girls, though, they're so cute, asking her to read her story. And it's one says very young children and one says young lady, right? And so they ask her to read the story, and she says, first, let me go in here and give you. And she pulls out the 2 hairpins. The one that has the gold and the flowers, and the one that has the white flowers. And one's blue and one's gold, right? And giving it to each of them. And at the time, I was suspicious of her. I'm like, why is she doing this? But she says she's getting ready to leave, so she has no need for them, right? I honestly thought with her character, what was going to happen was that she was going to run off, and the person she was going to marry turned out to be like another demon, like another, not a Akaza necessarily, but another demon working with her. I don't know. It was either going to be like Muzan maybe, or another demon, or it was going to be her disguising herself and then would trick her into like getting eaten. It was just like, I was very suspicious she was going to die once she left the city, or tried to, but she doesn't even get out of the city. The Daki, the demon, she comes and gets her like instantly. So yeah, this OP is really great. I love it. I love all the fireworks. It's very flashy, very appropriate. But yeah, so between feeling incredibly suspicious this entire time, and at first the episode like has all this tension. You have the tension with the girls, like even though it's supposed to be a happy moment, it's still very tense. And then you cut to Omitsu's husband, who once Zenitsu goes missing, he's just like, forget about it. And he's grieving the loss of his wife and just doesn't want to think about it, but he knows something's up and he knows who's responsible. And when he tells that woman to shut the hell up, it's like Demon Slayer, it gives you tonal whiplash almost, because at some points it's very serious, very dark, very hardcore in its message, and then another minute there's muscular mice running about, and you're just like, it's like the mangaka's like, hold on now, let's not get too dark here, let's bring some levity to this. It's like, God. But yeah, so speaking of levity, after this really dark scene with the husband clearly worried about it, we cut to Inosuke and Tanjiro, and I can't. Again, the humor of the show, it is something to behold, because I'm like, only in this series, I think, can the mangaka get away with these facial expressions and some of these elements. I'm like, some of this is just ridiculous. But Inosuke has grown on me in the span of 4 episodes. In the span of 4 episodes, I went through the entirety of season 1 not liking Inosuke. I'm not joking. Like, in the entirety of season 1, Mugen Train, Inosuke was like my least favorite person in the Demon Corps. And I know he's some people's favorites, but I was just like, eh. And then in the span of 4 episodes, I really like Inosuke's character now. I'm like, because he's just like, here it is. Like, I feel like Inosuke like matured. I feel like Rengoku's death has had an impact on all 3 of them. Like, Zenitsu is much more calm, and like, I mean, Zenitsu still has his outbursts, don't get me wrong, but he's much more focused and calm than he has been in the past. Inosuke is much more focused and like pragmatic and just thinking, and it's like Tanjiro is the one that's going through like, what does this death mean to me? And still like, I feel like Tanjiro is so pure though, that his development, it's still ongoing, but I feel like we're seeing some drastic development with Zenitsu and Inosuke. Because I love Inosuke's like, I'm telling you, it was like this. And he's just like, trying to describe what this demon was like. You know, like this. And Tanjiro's face of, I can't. He's like, yeah, sure, how is it again? Hold up a second, okay? And I just like, Inosuke's like, no, it was like a creepy crawly thing in the attic, you know, kind of like a spider, but not a spider, which it's hard to describe this demon. And Tanjiro gets it at the end. He's like, oh, that's why we couldn't keep track of her. She like has some kind of like compartmentalized ability with her ribbons, with the belt, that she can trap people within that space, like a little pocket dimension. And she can, as long as you can squeeze through a crack, she can move around all of the different houses. Which makes sense why when Inosuke like threw the doors open, there were all the cracks in the wall. That's where she's been going in and out of. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. It's like, do you get this? And Tanjiro's like, well, let's wait on them. So, and I love Zenitsu's little like angry face. He's like, don't you get it? Like, it's so funny. He's like, well, wait on the others. But then he's like, it was like this. It was clear to me. And he's like, But then he's like, Zenitsu won't be coming, and we see Tengen. Oh. And Tengen, that, like, the veins bulging on his arm, Tengen is pissed. He is mad. Because we've seen him, like, with his bulging muscles, but he's not had, like, the veins and stuff popping out on him. He's very mad. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. It's weird seeing Tengen go from being this, like, flashy, and I'm all this, to being, like, how he really is. And he's very serious, and taking the mission very seriously. I'm like, okay. So it's very interesting. I love Inosuke's like, this guy's got mad skills. He's like, these mice and this guy. He's like, this guy's serious. He's the real deal. Mm-hmm. He didn't make a sound. Yeah, and that was so freaking cool when he was like going across the rooftop, just like, but there was no sound with it involved either. The sound design of this episode was, it's been great all season, but this episode was really good. But yeah, not even the slightest puff of wind. And so then, yeah, he says he's not met up at the Rana, and he's very afraid. Like, his eyes are like wide. He's like, I feel bad putting you through this. Because he's like, he thinks Zenitsu's probably dead. He's like, I wanted to rescue my wife so badly, I made some bad decisions. Like, Tengen, it kind of has that. I feel like Tengen, if you've ever watched Haikyuu and you know the character Bokudo, Tengen is like a flashy, materialistic Bokudo. He's like very, very, like, when he's upbeat and positive, he's like super hyper upbeat and positive. But when he comes down and he's serious, it's almost scary. It's like, but yeah, because Tengen's like, I made a mistake. He's like, I was so desperate to save my wives. I brought you all here and you weren't ready. And he's like, and one of you's already gone missing. He's like, I don't like it. Nope. I find it funny that the first wife we find is Makio, who has the yellow hair. And the first of them to go missing is Zenitsu, who has the yellow hair. He's like, there's been no contact since last night. You two should leave now. You're ranked too low for this. Yeah, he wants them to just get out of here. He's like, I don't want your deaths to be on my hands. He's like, get out and I'll deal with it. But I'm like, dude, you clearly don't know Tanjiro and Inosuke because they're not leaving. That's not happening. He's like, I'm continuing the mission on my own. I'm like, you got strength in numbers, right? And he's like, don't be ashamed. Whoever survives wins. Don't overlook your chance. That's such an interesting view of it because, yeah, I'm watching another show, Vinland Saga, right now. And in that show, there's the idea of like only the strongest survive. And there's a message there of don't run away. You're not going to get stronger unless you stick around and fight. But here Tengen offers like another option. He's like, whoever survives wins. He's viewing this like a game of dodgeball. Like, just, if you know you're not going to be able to catch the ball or go up against the person throwing it, then just get out of the way and try to survive and live another day. It's like, that's a very different message than you normally see from characters like this. But he's not saying that they're weak. He's just like, this is clearly out of your league. And I dragged you in here without explaining fully what was about to happen. And he's like, I'm not going to make the mistake of having you stick around and get killed. And then he just disappears. I love it. Inosuke's like, come back here, old man. Even though he's probably like in his 30s. And then Tanjiro's like, do you think he can't trust us because we're the lowest ranked? And then this scene, he's like, our rank is canoe. We've already moved up. Like, at this point, I was like, wait, what, Inosuke? He's like, don't you know? Like, I can't take him seriously with that face. He's like, don't you remember all the rankings? I was like, no, I don't. I was like, the fact that Inosuke remembers all the rankings, I'm like, have I been misjudging you this whole series, Inosuke? Have I? I think I have. Yeah, so they started out at Mizunoto, which was the lowest rank, and then Kanao, and not Kano. Kanao is at the Kano rank, right? Not confusing at all. So I like that they went from Mizunoto to Mizuno to Kanoto to Kano, and the next rank is Tsuchino, Hinoto, Kanoto, and Kano. So not confusing at all, right? And then they're Hashira. But yeah, he's like, we used to be down here. We used to be at the very bottom, but now we're fourth from the bottom. Kano. Oh, so, okay, Kanao is a Tsuchinoto, so she's a rank above them. Okay, well, that's good. Kanao is not Kano. But they're caught up with the one guy, the crybaby guy. Okay, crazy. You stupid boar. And then they start fighting. Oh, my God. So, yeah, and then the fact that, well, she's her little coin there. And then the fact that he's like, look, and he points out the wrist. And he says, show me my ranking. And then he does it, and it shows that it says Kano. I love that Tanjiro's like, I forgot we could... His face! He's just like... And I love it zooms in! Like, when was that? When did we have that ability? I love that disgusted, confused face that Tanjiro gives is the best damn thing about this show. And he's like, didn't they fiddle with your arm at Wisteria Mountain like they did mine? And he's like, yeah, I was too exhausted to really notice. Ah! The wisteria flower engraving. You say a phrase and you flex your muscles to invoke it. And he's like, oh, I had no idea about that. It's a sign you're a demon slayer. Ah. He's like, cheer up. Oh, he's just like the heavy pat. And then Tanjiro's like, we don't have time for this. We gotta get back to work. As soon as night falls, I'll head over to your Ogimoto house. Wait for me until then. It'll be dangerous to make a move on your own. And he's like, no. And then Tanjiro's like, I'm gonna be done investigating today. And I love that Inosuke just grabs his cheek. He's like, we have to come find the demon now while it's daylight, while it's hiding. And I just love the old woman's like, would they just shut up? I freaking love it. The humor of this episode is so good. And then Inosuke's just sitting there like whacking him over the head. And so something has happened. And then they basically predict everything that we've been talking about the last couple episodes, that there's been pathways in the building. That's how it's been moving along. That's how Zenitsu got taken. I just, oh my God. It feels good when you have a suspicion about something and then you kind of work it through, and then the characters of the show figure it out at the same time and work it through too, and it all makes sense. You're like, yes, good, we're all on the same page. Great. But yeah, obviously, this demon is disguising itself as a human. So we cut back to the Oiran, to her at Tanjiro's house. And again, it's so freaking suspicious. And there's so many damn red flags that I was like, is she gonna die? Because I was like, she's either gonna die or is she the demon? I was so confused until we got the demon actually showing up. But yeah, like the whole thing where she gave him the pins, it's like, okay, that's a little suspicious. And then you find out when she's talking to Tanjiro that she was planning on leaving, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But the moment the two little girls go, we love you, Koinotsu, and it's like, oh, it's like, that's a red flag. That's a big old, gigantic red flag. I thought she was either going to be turned into a demon, revealed she was a demon, or was going to get killed like that. But instead, and it's crazy. You think that something's gonna happen to her because she keeps looking back to the mirror and it's quiet, and then Tanjiro shows up. And of course, because Tanjiro is the most purest child of all the purities, he brings like the money for room and rent, and he's like, here, give this back, to pay for me being here. It's like, are you kidding? Tanjiro just being the most nice. So he pays for his room and board, and then she's like, Sumi, the way that you're dressed. And I love that he says, I had to dress as a woman for certain reasons, but I'm actually a guy. And she goes, oh, I knew that. Tanjiro's been so surprised in this episode. She's like, yeah, you were fooling no one. It was obvious you were a man, and you didn't even try to hide your voice. She's like, no. She's like, I knew you were a boy from the start. Let it be known, Koinotsu is not judgmental. You be who you want. She ain't gonna judge. And she's like, I wonder what you were up to. But, and his face, he's just like, have I been that obvious from the start? I think the only one that was remotely winning or even remotely convincing anybody was Inosuke, only because he has such a beautiful face and he wasn't talking. Like, that's the only reason why they were convinced. But Tanjiro didn't even disguise his voice. He just put the bow in his hair. Ah! I love it. And then she says, you have your reasons, don't you? You were worried about Suma for real, weren't you? And he's like, yes, that's the truth. It wasn't a lie. And then he promises her that he'll save everybody who vanished. And it's like... So she says that somebody has asked for her to be their bride and that she's leaving the district tomorrow. But the demon comes to get her now. So I guess did the demon catch wind that can the demon hear through the houses and caught wind that she was going to leave and was like, no, I'm going to eat you before you go? Because she did make the comment that she only eats pretty people, which makes me happy because that means Zenitsu is not dead, because she does not eat ugly people, and she has said repetitively that Zenitsu is ugly. So yeah. And then here she says, oh, even if I get a bad feeling about something, I can't look around it. I'm like, red flag, red flag. And then Tanjiro tries to reassure her, saying to keep a smile on her face and that he's going to, rescue her. And she's like, I don't want you to disappear either. And it's like, red flag. And, And then Tanjiro, of course, having the goodest boy face, being like, it'll be fine. I'm surprised the demon hasn't realized that Nezuko is there, but then again, most of the demons seem to ignore her until she comes out of the box. And then, yeah. And then he wishes her all the happiness. And it's like, this is the worst goodbye because it means something is going to happen. And then the demon just shows up like in full demon regalia. Like not even trying to be the Oiran there. She's like, before I forget, I need to devour you. Ugh. Koinotsu. But she doesn't get her killed yet. She's like in the process of it, but she hasn't killed her yet. Ugh. And so then, yeah, Tanjiro is on his way to meet Inosuke, but he gets distracted by the scent of the demon and decides to take off on his own. It's like, Tanjiro, honey, why did you do that? And then there's this with Inosuke. And of course Inosuke's impatient. He's like, you're late. Why aren't you here? We decided on this. I love that his toes are just wriggling. He's like, his toes, he's like, all right, you're late. It's so freaking good. It's almost nightfall and he's not here yet. He's like, Soichiro, you moron. I'm going to take action. Is that Inosuke's first name, Soichiro? With the spirit of coming through in my heart. Yes. Oh my God. That's so, I love it. He's like, I'm just going to barrel my way through everything like I do normally. Oh my God. And then when he jumped up into the ceiling, I was like, are you trying to find the demon now? But he wants to get his swords. My swords. And I was expecting a little herd of mice to like have the swords on their back and be like pitter-pattering towards Inosuke. Not to have fully muscle-bound, he's like, that guy has mad skills. Fully muscle-bound mice with tiny little bitty head wraps. With tiny jewels. When this show decides that it wants to be ridiculous, it just goes all in. It's like, you've made it this far. You've made it this far. You're not going to stop now, right? Even if we have, like, jacked up, muscular, ripped mice with tiny headbands, you're not going to quit now, are you? I just imagine that Tengen's wives, and maybe Tengen or his wives were just sitting there meticulously crafting tiny little headbands to put on these mice to be used as ninju. The fact that they're ninju suggests that maybe the wives did it because they're ninja themselves. I feel like there's some doping going on with these mice, and maybe Tengen should, be careful of that. But, oh my God. And then they give him the swords. Wow. And then I'm sad he threw away the kimono. Inosuke looks so beautiful in the kimono. That teal turquoise color was very pretty on Inosuke. I'm very sad that he's let it go. Makes me sad. And then the woman sing Inosuke, like, with the boar's head, let's go slay some demons. Like, she is just traumatized. She's like, this whole time, Inosuke's been a man, and with a giant pig's head. It's like the worst reveal for her. Oh. Speaking of the worst, we cut back to the husband, who's, like, holding Omitsu's, like, bloody kimono. And, oh. And then what happened to Zenko and Hinatsu? Give me the short version. And yeah, he has him at knife point. Like, Tengen is freaky in this episode because he's very serious and he's like, I want you to talk. And then as soon as he lets the knife go, he's like, tell me what happened. And the man responds, and before he even finishes, he's gone. Well, he says Warabahime and tells him where she's at. He's already out. Oh. It's woof. Like, Tengen being serious is something else. It's so freaky. And he's like, I'll head to the point where Hinatsuru is as I try to pinpoint the demon's presence. Okay. If she's still alive, she should have some information for me. Oh, either way, the demon should be back here by daybreak. So he's just got to either find the wife, find the demon, or wait to dispose of it when it gets back and has to hide. Oh my God. Ah! But I'm like, the thing of it is we don't see where Tanjiro is in relation to Tengen, so we don't know exactly where he's at. That's the problem. But yeah, of course, Tanjiro's like chasing the scent of the demon and then instantly finds her with it's like when a snake is eating something and consuming it, and the mouse or something instantly gets farther into the snake's stomach. That is, she has the Oiran there. Oh my god, it's freaky. It's really freaky. Yeah, Koinotsu's body, she's not bleeding, so something is up. Yeah, there's no scent of blood. But yeah, she's like, I never devour dirty old people or anyone ugly. So Zenitsu's out. Maybe Tengen's out. Well, Inosuke calls Tengen old man, but he's handsome, so she probably would go for him. But she's ridiculously... and I love that he pulls out the sword. She's like, who do you think you're talking to? How dare you? Like, just insulting her. This random Demon Corps member shows up that's not a Hashira to fight her. Oh. And all she does is, like, swing the ribbons at him. Like, just 2 of them. And it just, like, slams him into the next house. And he's instantly, like, nearly about to pass out. But I love that Tanjiro goes through it and he's like, no. He's like, the reason I'm about to pass out is because I'm afraid. My body is numbed from being afraid, the fear, and yeah, I just hit my back, so of course I'm gonna hurt. But he like controls his breathing and does that total concentration to get him back up. And then I was so worried during this whole battle. I'm like, there's no way that he's gonna win against her. And he's put up a good fight so far, but I'm like, and then the strap on the box breaks, so he like puts Nezuko aside. I figured she'd go after the box, but... And then Nezuko's so freaking cute. And he says not to leave the box unless she's in danger. So all bets are on she's going to be in danger and leave that box. But I'm amazed that Tanjiro's done okay against her so far. But she's not even playing. She's just messing with him at this point. I don't know how to feel, but... I don't get good vibes. I'm like, Tanjiro, honey, you should know not to do this by yourself. It's not going to end well. So, and of course, we end on a cliffhanger of him facing her. Because of course we do. This episode was too short. The last one was too short. This one was too short. I need answers, darn it. But we've got to now wait till next week. So I'm curious to know what's going to end up happening. I'm curious to know your thoughts for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this reaction discussion, but I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. But I'm very curious to see what our poor boy Tanjiro ends up doing. Like, how is he going to run away? Is one of the wives going to step in? Is Tengen going to step in? Is Inosuke going to step in? I don't know, but I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. Please, no spoilers. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 5 of Demon Slayer Season 2. Bye.